There are many miracles in the stories of the Gospels. In John's Gospel, there are only 7, but they call them signs. But in Luke's Gospel, it has involved men and women, and they focus always on several elements that are critical to the message of Christ for all of us. Most often, Jesus' miracles in Luke's Gospel involve a communal element. In this case, we tend to focus on what happens to the man. The young man is risen from the dead. But that's not the only miraculous component of this message or this gospel today. Bear in mind that in ancient times, that when a person became a widow, they were left destitute. There was no social security. There was no, as we call it here in Ireland, the dole. There was no dole system. There was no handouts. And if you did not have a husband and you had no children to take care of you, then you were left to fend for yourself, most often begging from the streets and often even prostitution to stay alive. So you'll notice in this gospel said that there was a large crowd of the city was with her. And you would think that surely some one of the large crowd, she had lots of friends that all came out to be with her. But no, that it was not typical at the time. So Jesus felt sorry for her, have pity on her. So the miracle was not only for him, but it was also for her, to restore her to the community, to leave her able to take care of the household and be a member of the household again. There was really 2 components to the miracle. But this is the constant message we hear of Jesus. He goes to those who are on the furthest. Remember, the lame and the broken and the widowed are all, and the orphan, all considered the same component. Those on the periphery who were no longer part of the community. A person who was sick, a person who was maimed, was also pushed out. In the case of lepers, they were pushed out physically outside the community to not be inside. And Jesus' constant message to us and to disciples at the time, that he would bring them into the center of the community again. The metaphor which you've heard me use back home many times, but it's worth using again. It's like, for those of you who ever make brown bread or home-make brown bread, there's a kneading process. And what you do with the kneading process, as you knead the bread down with your heels of your hand, you push the bread out, and then you fold the 2 outsides back in and push it down again. And so the outside become the inside, and the inside become the outside. Just constantly always folding the outside in. I think it's a lovely metaphor of what we're called to be as a community of faith, as a community of God, as the people of God. One of the things you'll notice over here in Ireland, there's great reverence for the elderly. They're treated with tremendous respect, honor. They're not pushed to the society edge. They are folded inside the community. A lot of our ethnic communities back home will do the same thing, especially the Asian cultures and even the Hispanic cultures. But we as a mainstream culture, struggle with our willingness to fold the elderly back in. We've created homes for them, care homes, where we put them out and we care for them there, or sometimes in sad cases just put them there and forget them there. So what does all this mean for us? Well, as we come to Ireland and we begin this pilgrimage, understand how we have really worked hard over the last 30 to 50 years to fold the whole culture back together again, to make us what we call 32 counties of one people again. Enormous amount of work has happened to bring that about. And there is always political destabilization that happens. But we also need that back home. We need to be folded back into each other. The division back home is in every aspect of our society, not only politically, but religiously. We've become very fragmented. We've become fragmented economically. There's the extremely wealthy and poor. And our own county back home, it has some of the greatest differential between. So what are we to do? Well, I think we can practice here on this pilgrimage of folding each other in, to look out for each other as we're on this journey, to check in with each other and to continuously to fold each other into our groups. We will naturally go to those who we know, but try to fold people into your conversation, to welcome them. And carry in our hearts those back home that have been maybe on the outside of our families, who is it that we need to fold back in to our family, in our community back home? Who do we need to fold back in? I think of the two groups that we're trying to work with as the married and divorced, is to fold them back in. They feel so isolated. The LGBTQ community, we want to fold them back in and say that you are welcome. There are many others, the immigrants, the broken, the homeless, and there are probably other members of our community who have felt pushed out to the side. Think of that image of the bread, of folding them back in. Who in our family, who in our community, who in this pilgrimage are we called to fold back in to the main bread, the bread of life?